Welcome back, friends. Peace be with you today. We need this peace today with all what's happening around us. God put a new topic in my heart to speak about, to talk about, is eternity. Eternity, as such, it's impossible to explain, but everyone knows about it. Everyone has got feelings about it. And what is it? Why are we looking for it? And we read in the Bible about the origin. Where is it coming from? In Psalm 93:2, your throne was established long ago. You are from all eternity. That's the originator of it, God Himself. And we can continue in a lot of different passages. Even the most powerful statement in the Bible, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Eternity again. God Himself is giving us a chance to enjoy the eternity, to live forever, to all the human heart desires going towards that, to stay longer and longer alive, to do things to prolong the life, to have better life. And that's what eternity is about. Another passage we read in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to the end. That's the origin. That's why we are looking for it. That's why we are looking for eternity, because God Himself, as a creator, He set eternity in the human heart. He set eternity, the desire to live forever, the desire to strive towards eternity. That's why we are talking about it. That's why you're thinking about it. That's why you're interested in listening still to that topic right now, because that He is the one who made your heart certain way, so it corresponds to the sound of eternity, so it corresponds to the call of eternity. In Isaiah 57:15, for this is what the high and exalted one says, who lives forever, whose name is holy. I live in the high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite. He has done everything to share this eternity with you. That's the one who lives forever, whose name is holy. And this passage rings all the bells in my head. It's about how my personal experience, that I spent a bit of time to talk about eternity and think about it, and there I crossed the English version of this word, the eternity. As we started to travel around Australia, and we had a nice rig. It was a caravan. It was quite appealing at that time. It was new. People mentioned it looks like a spaceship. We were going through the villages. We were driving through villages, and we had certain ideas about our travel. We wanted to visit churches and preach the gospel. God turned it a slightly different way. The churches were out in the open sky. There was next to the campfire. There were a lot of people where we could have a conversation one-to-one, just in a simple, open way. And God showed us the state of the churches in Australia, and it's a really poor state in the villages. This is not the time to discuss it, but as we could see, as we were driving through the villages or towns, and people were turning heads and looking at our caravan, we thought we better use it somehow. We better use this so to draw people's attention towards God. And we were thinking about different passages, and then somehow we were praying about it and thinking about something to write on the side of a caravan or do something about it, and then God gave into my heart. Somehow it came. I can't remember who's mentioned it or how we came across it. How it first It started, but it was just this one word in my mind, eternity. And I started a bit of a search. I remembered that I've seen it. There was a lot of publicity around it in Australia. It was around the year 2000. It was on the Howard Bridge, displayed in the Darling Harbour in Sydney, and the millennium, on the changeover of time. They blended in with the strong lights, illumination, this word. I was standing out to everyone, and everyone was really excited about it because people didn't know at that change. They were very uncertain. They've seen it, eternity just flashed into their eyes. And it wasn't exactly the same writing as another man whose name is Arthur Stace. Not many people even knew at that time as he was doing that. He was writing for 35 years on the streets of Sydney, starting early in the morning. He was like a ghost. Nobody knew he was doing that. He was chalking it on the ground. He was just using a chalk and writing on the ground everywhere, around in the buildings, this one single word, eternity. And he himself, he could barely write. He could barely read. He was really poor upbringing in the alcoholics, family of alcoholics, and he was alcoholic himself, and went for the war. Had really heavy background. He was struggling even just to live a normal life, but then he came to God. He repented, and he received that call in one of the sermons from John Ridley, and on the echoes of eternity. And back then he heard that call from God, and God gave him to write this single word everywhere. And we wrote it on the back of our caravan. We wrote it on the back of our caravan in exactly the same writing. And we could see the result was unbelievable. You could see the people just standing, walking along the streets and in towns and just looking at our caravan and following. And as soon as they seen eternity on the back of the caravan, it was like somebody hit them with a hammer from the back. It was a really hard call for the people, because it isn't set in our hearts. We're just trying to push it out at times, but it comes back and just flashes up right in front of our eyes. Eternity, what are you doing about it today? And I remember countless numbers of conversations with people, meeting some in a bush. There was no conversation around it. People knew exactly who we are, and discussions were always, and a lot of times people were just talking about it and they're saying, I know it's two backgrounds to this word. One is something to do with church, with God. I don't want to think about it. But the second one, to live forever, that's my goal. I want to live forever. I want to be one of them, the one who doesn't die. Who gonna live and be alive forever and ever. But if you ask me, I don't want to live forever without God. People want to say, I want to live without God, but I don't. I don't, and I can tell you exactly why. God is the one who, without God, it's impossible to survive. Without God, we know the humans are really angry creatures that can kill each other. But God himself, he is talking about it. He's saying, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. He's the one who wants to give you a future, and he wants to share this eternity with you. He just doesn't hold it to himself like a drink, you drink and you live forever. No, he's sharing with everyone else, and he wants to, but he does it the proper way. So it's because we didn't hold it in the first place. We had it and we lost it just because we couldn't. We took the sin in our hearts, we took the sin in our life, and it destroyed us. And I can tell why I'm talking about eternity with God. It's a story exists about 6 boys in the books. You can read it up. I think it's called Lord of the Flies. And there's a man who did it's actually fake story. Somebody made it up, or a man made it up. He was a bad background himself, and he was displaying the really dark side of the human nature. There were six boys that were lost after the airplane crash on the island, on the deserted island, and they were there about a bit longer than a year. And in the end, they found only 3 left, because the other ones, they were killed during that time because they were so evil to each other. And they were trying to establish democracy and all sorts of things. They were British boys. So, and there was another guy who said, I don't believe that humans are that bad. He started to do research, and he wrote even a book about it. So he was believing in the better ways, and people didn't believe him. They said, no, we don't believe it. Because, we know how evil we are as humans, and if you look at even our kids, they're pretty evil. We are evil. And the guy started to do research, and you can read it. I think it's a book called Real Lord of the Flies. It's all on the internet. I can share a link with you if you want to ask, and I'll share it. So there was a movie about it as well, as I believe in Australia was made about this topic. And he started to search the real story. He was trying to find a story about what actually happened in reality. And what happened, it was a real story. It was 6 boys. And it was 1966, I believe it happened. And he found an article, it was about 1977 or something, and it was a mistake. It took him a while to find it. But he found it actually was 6 Islander boys. They were lost somewhere from Catholic background, from Catholic schools, and they were just school, and they were just bored to death. They took the fishing boat and got lost in a storm. So not far away from, they wanted to travel to Fiji or something, and then they lost, and they were 15 months on the island themselves. But the difference there was, it wasn't a fake story, it was a true story. And they had Catholic background. They were really blessed. They survived. They were stronger than they were before. They had a food. It wasn't really habitable island, but they found the ways to, with a knife of the blade of a knife, they found a way to. They found even chickens there and everything. So it's so it was a beautiful story in the end for them. It was a beautiful outcome, and the difference was there. There was a God in the picture. And the first story was a fake story, and it is. The life without God is fake, regardless. So Jesus is calling you today to eternity with Him. He's saying Himself in Revelations 3:20-22. That's talking about our time, even about the church. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to sit with me on the throne, just as I was victorious and sat down with my Father on His throne. Whoever has ears, let him hear that the Spirit says to the churches. Jesus is giving even more. He is giving eternity. He is even ready to share His position with you. Come and enjoy it. May God be with you.
Если есть у тебя вопросы, пиши нам. Пиши in the comments. Пиши напрямую на наш channel. Мы молимся за тебя. Да благословит тебя Господь.